Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Les from Comfortable Shoes Studio, and in this episode, I am showing you how I'm going to make this budget-friendly sketchbook from Five Below my own. So I am going to decorate the cover with some things that I found that were kind of funny or cute. This came off a bag that we got with an order, and it says, make sure to chill. So I thought that was funny, and I'm going to put it on the cover of this Everything Everywhere art journal sketchbook. So this is one of those soft touch sketchbooks from Five Below. This one, the sketch was actually imprinted evenly. All right, I'm using a little bit of glue to stick that to the vinyl. I don't know if it's going to stick well or not. We'll find out. And then that says no rules, just art. So I'm going to stick that on as well. I think that fits with the art journal, especially a budget art journal. I think that perfectly fits. Now, when it comes to vinyl covers like this one, they have a slightly different texture than other vinyl products. So I am using a synthetic glue. PVA, like Elmer's white glue, should hold things to vinyl, but I don't know about this glue. I don't know if this glue is going to work. This is a Zig glue marker. It's just a 15 millimeter glue marker from Zig. I'm cleaning up some excess glue with a soft eraser so I don't damage anything. It also easily picks the glue up off the actual paper as well. So I did manage to get glue all around the edges of these pieces. If I don't clean off the glue, then it's going to pick up stuff in my bag, because this will be my Everything Everywhere journal that I take with me pretty much everywhere. I picked it up yesterday because I went to the mall to walk and decided I wanted to sit in the food court and sketch. And I had not brought a sketchbook with me. All right, so I had done this in a previous video, but I hadn't really talked through what I was doing. I am going to add an elastic to this sketchbook. So I measure the height of the sketchbook as well as the thickness. So basically you can measure the height of a sketchbook and then add 2 inches, and it's usually more than enough. That is a lighter. You can't see the flame. I am heat sealing the edges of the elastic. It's not totally necessary. It just keeps it from being messy as I pull it through. I don't want it to fray too much. So I'm measuring 1 inch from the side, 1 inch down from the top. I'm making a mark there. This will also clean up with the eraser that I was using. All right, so there's your 1 inch mark in each spot. And then I'm using the elastic itself to determine the width of the hole that I'm going to cut. A little self-healing cutting mat. I've been using this very skinny rounded scalpel for cutting things. It's actually quite a good blade shape, and I wish I could get this blade shape in an X-Acto knife. It's like a rounded number 16 blade. All right, so there are those holes. And this board from in this book from Five Below is quite pulpy. So I am bending the holes edges in so they're a little rounded so that when I put the elastic in, it slides in more easily. It's just kind of like reaming out the holes. All right, so I am marking out the area that I'm going to cut out to make a recess for the elastic. In the case of this cover, I'm cutting about halfway through the cover. The elastic just needs a place to sit so it doesn't make a giant lump throughout the whole book. So I cut around, and then I'm going to spend some time scraping this out because this book cover material is incredibly pulpy. I don't know what it's made out of. It's not super stiff, but it's also not very flexible, if that makes sense. But once I'm in there, so a lot of book boards will peel off in easy layers. I've done this on 2 of these at this point. This will not do that. You peel off the top layer, whatever is glued to the paper, and then you've got to scrape and pick out the rest of it. It just won't come apart easily. Yeah. It's quite unpleasant to work with, actually. But totally worth it in the end because this book will then have a elastic closure, which means when I throw it in my bag, it will stay shut. So the good thing about these scalpels that I got, they do have a cap, which just means my work table is a little safer. And I accidentally got off camera here, but I am both sides. I'm off camera. I'm pushing the heat sealed end of that elastic through the holes that I made. I just made little slices. And I'm using my tweezers to poke a corner through. Once the corner's through, it pulls through pretty easily. You just want to pull through enough that, and now you'll be able to see it. You want to pull through enough to fill the slot you cut. There we go. And I realize here that I have cut the elastic a little too long. It's snug there, but not quite as snug as I would like. So what I do is I pop this open, slide up, and I cut about an extra inch off. And then because I always heat seal my elastic, I heat seal it. All right, there we go. So I'm using regular old Elmer's PVA. This is whatever store brand I bought. This one is pretty watery, which I'm not mad at because it does soak into book boards really well. And so then I'm just fitting that elastic in there. And I realize as I get glue all over my fingertips, I should have tested this a little better, that I did not cut that slot quite wide enough. Now, I always tried to cut the slots for the elastic not much larger than the elastic itself. If it's too wide for your elastic or whatever you're going into your book board, you will end up leaving, there'll be little tiny dents that the glue tries to fill, but obviously can't. All right, so I'm going back in here with more glue in both holes and then pressing the elastic into that slot, and it fits better now. I always keep, when I'm gluing and stuff, I keep a baby wipe in this little container, so it stays moist, and that way I can get glue off my fingertips when I'm doing this kind of stuff. I'm holding it in place with some painter's tape. So the painter's tape, I use painter's tape on this because after the glue is dry, it will peel off and not damage the book. All right, so here I am removing a section of pages at every signature. So one of the reasons I do like this book is because it is sewn. I prefer stitched sketchbooks over spiral bound, over perfect bound, all of those. A stitched sketchbook is where it's at for me. So I'm going through, I'm finding the middle of every signature, and then I'm using a water brush to wet that signature at the fold. Now, normally, when it comes to books and art journaling, you try to avoid adding water to the fold area. In this case, because I'm trying to remove these, I'm adding the water because it's going to soften the paper at that fold and make it much easier for me to remove these signatures. Because I've wet the paper, it'll be soft when I come back to it, and I will be able to easily tear it away. I won't have to use a knife or risk damaging that stitching. So this is a wee bit boring. Apologies for that. But yeah, I flip through, put a post-it note on it so I can find it easily again. I also try to bend the papers back and forth so that I can easily get in there. I'm sort of breaking the spine on this. I dropped my water brush. And here we go. I think that might be the last signature. Yep. So then I go back to the first one, and I start with tearing them folded, and then I've got to use tweezers to pick out the excess paint. I do apologize. My camera was having a hell of a time focusing on the plain pages. Most cameras don't like focusing on just a open white area, but it was really struggling today. So this paper is pretty strong, which I've been pleasantly surprised at. And it does leave quite a few little fiberies and things behind when I'm tearing like this. So I start using a different method, and I think this is it here. No, and a couple more pages. It's not important to pick out any little tiny pieces of paper with tweezers. You can just skip ahead. So here we go, a different technique. And this actually worked a lot better. It let far fewer of those little fibers underneath the stitches. It was a much, much cleaner way of removal for me with this paper. It might be different with other papers. So yeah, so that's the start of how I prepare a art journal. I decorate, I always add an elastic, almost always, and remove some pages. So I just want to take a minute to thank everyone for being here and all the support that I've gotten over the years. I really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed, please share this with someone who might also enjoy it. And I just want to say thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.